Hundreds of migrants remained stranded outside Ceuta's temporary reception center (CET) on Saturday after an unprecedented surge of arrivals from Morocco into the Spanish enclave. People were seen resting along roadsides as police patrolled the area. Migrants say some have gone days without food or water, alleging mistreatment and refusal of service at local shops. Spanish officials estimate between 50,000 and 60,000 people crossed last week, many by swimming around coastal barriers. At least 67 deaths have been reported, mostly from drowning. Authorities have installed a 500-meter floating barrier to stem further crossings, while most arrivals have since returned to Morocco. The crisis has triggered EU tensions, with Italy tightening checks on passengers from Spain and France, deploying more officers along its border. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko has blamed the Western regime change wars for the unprecedented migrant surge into Spain's enclave of Ceuta. Speaking to RT on Friday, Grushko said interventions in Iraq, Syria and Libya stripped regions of statehood, turning them into havens for extremists and fueling migration waves now hitting Europe. According to Spanish officials, an estimated 50,000 migrants crossed from Morocco into Ceuta last week, with most returning voluntarily. Grushko called the crisis a collapse of EU immigration policy, accusing the bloc of ignoring problems while focusing on militarization and confrontation with Russia. He warned that reality is smashing through the ideological walls of the EU, exposing its true challenges in managing migration and regional stability. Iranian state television has broadcast footage showing smoke billowing from the Greek-owned oil tanker Malleus in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said the vessel was targeted after attempting to use the strait's southern route without heeding warnings, calling the passage unsafe. Denacom tankers confirmed the ship was struck by two projectiles on July 20, sparking a fire and forcing the crew to abandon ship. The Guard accused the US military of misleading vessels into dangerous waters and urged shipping companies to avoid routes near Oman. The confrontation highlights competing claims over one of the world's most critical energy corridors. Washington insists the strait is an international waterway, while Tehran demands coordination with its maritime authorities. Tensions have fled further after recent US strikes in Iran and retaliatory attacks on American bases, despite a ceasefire framework signed in June. South Africa's informal markets are under growing strain after attacks on migrants forced thousands to leave, leading to labor shortages and business closures. Footage from Johannesburg showed traders, upholsterers and shopkeepers serving customers in bustling streets, but economists warn these scenes may not last. Chief economist Dawie Roth says migrants contribute significantly to the economy as workers and entrepreneurs, and their departure will hurt especially the informal sector. The International Labour Organization has found migrants' participation often coincides with stronger job opportunities for South African-born workers. Weeks of anti-migrant protests have strained industries from retail to agriculture. President Cyril Ramaphosa's government has condemned vigilante action, while police report hundreds of arrests for violence, intimidation, and unauthorized immigration checks. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has defended her country's sovereignty after US President Donald Trump shared an opinion piece criticizing her refusal to allow US personnel to operate against drug cartels inside Mexico. Speaking at a hospital construction ceremony in Oaxaca on Sunday, Sheinbaum stressed that decisions on Mexico's security must remain in Mexican hands, citing the Constitution's principle that sovereignty emanates from the people. She added that Mexico has fought for independence and will not accept foreign interference. Trump reposted the article by commentator Bill O'Reilly without comment, accusing Mexico's government of corruption and urging a change in policy. Sheinbaum reiterated her administration seeks cooperation with Washington on security, but only under mutual respect and national sovereignty. The historical Nathula Pass in Sikkim has reopened for cross-border trade between India and China after a 6-year suspension linked to the pandemic and border tensions. Footage from Saturday showed visitors at the border crossing as flags, gates, and military personnel marked the resumption of movement. Trade through Nathula was halted in 2020 following the Galwan Valley standoff. The reopening also coincides with the return of the Kailash Mansarova Yatra, with authorities hoping both development, robust tourism, and local businesses. Sikkim traders welcomed the move, calling it mutually beneficial, though they urged updates to the list of exportable goods and higher daily trading limits. Under current rules, up to 400 passes can be issued each season, but only 38 traders have received approval so far. Trade will operate Monday to Thursday each week. Russia says it is not ruling out negotiations with Ukraine and is prepared to consider constructive proposals, including new formats for dialogue. In a recent interview with the Izvestia newspaper, Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin indicated that Moscow has always been open to talks, but accused Kyiv of breaking them off and banning further contact. The last round of negotiations took place in Geneva in February, with the United States participating. Turkey, the UAE, Qatar, and Switzerland have all offered to host future talks, though Moscow has questioned Bern's neutrality. President Vladimir Putin recently said dialogue with Washington could resume once the Iranian crisis eases, while Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov reiterated Russia remains open to a peaceful resolution but will continue what it calls its special military operation. Thousands of children's shoes were laid out in the Hague's Scheveningen district on Saturday, forming a stark memorial to young Palestinians killed in Gaza. Footage showed rows of shoes as activists read out names of children aged 5 and under, while visitors prayed and took photographs. Organizer Esther van der Most said the display was meant to highlight the killing of babies and to urge Dutch society not to look away. She described Israel's actions as genocidal and noted this was the 18th such memorial protest since the war began in October 2023. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 1,000 Palestinians have died since a ceasefire took effect in October 2025, while the overall toll since the conflict erupted has surpassed 73,000. The war began when Hamas attacked southern Israel, killing over 1,100 people and abducting more than 200. Israel responded with airstrikes and a ground offensive. Thousands gathered in central Warsaw on Friday to commemorate the 82nd anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising against Nazi occupation. At exactly 5 p.m., sirens wailed across the capital as traffic halted and residents observed a minute of silence in tribute to the resistance fighters of 1944. Crowds waved Polish flags and the Kotwika resistance symbol amid red flare smoke. Robert Bakiewicz of the Border Defense Movement called for stronger national defense and the restoration of compulsory military service, while also urging Germany to pay reparations for wartime losses. The Warsaw Uprising, which lasted from August 1 to October 2, 1944, ended in defeat with hundreds of thousands killed. The city was finally liberated by Soviet troops in January 1945. St. Petersburg's rivers and canals came alive on Saturday as the 11th International Fontanka SUP Festival filled Russia's northern capital with color and creativity. Footage showed paddle boarders dressed as pirates, pharaohs, Father Christmas, dinosaurs, ninja turtles, and more gliding through the city. Festival producer Dmitry Vitkovsky said the event drew participants from 250 cities across Russia and guests from 15 countries, calling it a real boost of positivity and energy. One participant praised the sunshine for adding to the festive atmosphere. First held in 2016, the festival is organized by local news site fontaka.ru. Alongside the paddleboard parade, prizes were awarded for the most unusual costumes and decorated boards, while spectators enjoyed photo opportunities and live music.